Hey there guys, Nubinator here with another POE video leading up to the launch of the 325 League Settlers of KALGUUR, and in this one I just want to go over reasonably quickly over my build that I want to league start with and a little bit about my Atlas tree strategy. So after the patch notes dropped, basically I always like to play Templar starters that go for minion builds. So that has not been touched pretty much at all. There have been even some potential buffs for like more niche playstyles like bleed minions and stuff, but that's nothing to do with what we'll start our build with. I did get a taste of playing BAMA or Blink Arrow Mirror Arrow build last week. I did play that in hardcore solo self-found, and that was probably the build that took me the furthest. I still died pretty early on. I think it was like high white mouse, but it's just because I'm not a very good hardcore player yet. I still do a bunch of stupid mistakes. Still have a few bad habits that I've picked up in softcore, but we will be working on that in the upcoming league. We'll do a couple more runs that I'll be doing on Twitch, so if you want to see how the build progresses, what other campaigns progression is, etc., what filter I'm using and stuff like that, I'll be over on twitch.tv under handle Numinator_TV. So if you want to check this out, you're more than welcome to come over and chat. Now, the way that I usually choose a build is out, either it would be the word for the build to be put out by some content creator that I've picked up on and I want to try build, or most of the time I'll just go on POE Ninja, go to hardcore, SSF, whatever the last league was, and then go to like the first few days, and if you go to day one, it usually is just the most meta build that you can progress with. I'm not the type of person that I get to like end game exactly on day one. You know, a few days is more than okay for me, so I'll go to like day 3, day 4, and see if the build, the skill that I want to play, if there's any play, if there's any character at a reasonably high level. So the build that I'll be using is this guy, Kunagi_DD. Using Blink Arrow, so what you can do is you can go in and get some inspiration, go into the profile here and then click here. You can also follow the progression of that, so that's day 4. We can see, so that character was created on day 2, and again you can follow through the progression if that's something you are interested. If you don't feel comfortable enough, you know, with like level 90 POB, if you want to see the earlier progression, you can certainly do that. Unless it has been a build that has been rewrote from another build, in which case you can't see the progression. But we've gone into our POB, and that's the build. These are the skills, the items, and everything. So I'll go first of all with the skills. So the skills, I think I'm actually gonna be experimenting quite a lot. I may use this as just like a general, blueprint, but I'm not gonna stick super close to it. I may be making a change here or change there, see how it feels, etc. So don't take this as the B1, B1. Be the only viable option. So again, this should be actually our transition. So let me do a quick word of how we are going to be actually leveling, because we will not be starting with Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow first, because we need to farm those gems first of all, which I probably will be doing I'll get to the point where I'm doing my Merciless Labyrinth, because in Merciless you get the option to get specific gem into a version of its transfigured gem. The previous two labyrinths, you've got the option to turn a specific color of gem into a transfigured gem of the same color, but it doesn't guarantee to be the same like basic gem. So again, you may get super lucky, you get it on your first try, but I think from the point of view of time efficiency, I'll just go as SRS until Merciless Lap, and then I'll just farm out the gems. And the way that we're gonna start is, my Templar starts are always starting from here. You go through your elemental damage first, because we will be starting the first few levels as and we are talking like the first 10 or so levels. We'll be doing crawling magma, and then we'll gradually add on the fire totem, a flame totem I think it's called, and firewall with a couple of relevant supports, which would be like combustion, elemental proliferation for your magma ball. Maybe you can support your firewall with I can't remember the name of the support gem, but it was the one that gave you more duration of damage over time skills. And then you can use combustion for your holy flame totem. So we get the elemental nodes, go for retribution, go down here for discipline and training, and get this node, holy dominion, for the elemental resist. That's useful early on. Then we'll go up. We'll go now. There is a couple of different options. Now I could, if I want to focus on speed, I can go straight for spiritual command, which gives you increasing reductions to medium attack speed, also affect you, and there is a few notes here that give you exactly that stat, so that will make you quicker. However, if you're not focusing on speed so much, if you just want to progress through the campaign and you want to focus on actual character power rather than being quick, I would probably go straight this way. Now by this point you probably would be switching to SRS. Now we get SRS quite early on, and usually I swap to it when I've got access to you can do a few combinations. You can do combustion and elemental damage, or you can also do, and this is what I'll probably do, is I'm gonna do what's the support called, the one that make sure that your minions are on fire and they're burning. So it's, can't remember the name, but you get that pretty early in Act 1. And basically you'd be using SRS that when you create them, they are burning for a percentage of their life and inflicting that as fire damage onto the enemies. And what we're gonna do on our tree, we're gonna head over through Arcanist Dominion, Heart and Soul, Deep Wisdom. We might, over here, we might get Firewalker for some rest and some fire damage, but our goal would be to go here and get minion instability. Minions explode when reduced to low life, which our SRS will be doing that pretty much all the time, because they will be burning for fire damage, like for percentage of their life, dealing 33% of their life as fire damage to surrounding enemies. So we will be scaling minion life as well as minion damage. Now we can get some minion life here, I think here as well. And there was some more here, I think. No, I maybe missed. Yeah, we can get this as well. It depends whether we want to spend extra time, because after later on we'll be respecting obviously this portion of the tree. But that's so we'll be going as minion instability, and the 4 link for that would be the SRS, the combustion, the whatever that skill gem that makes your minions be on fire. Again, we can play around with the setup as well. We can probably get minion damage. There is minion speed. You can play about, see what feels the smoothest. That will be basically your 4 link that you would use to go through the campaign with. Now, after we get this, we've got options. Now, what I'll be thinking about while I'm leveling as SRS is, because remember, we will be swapping to Blink Arrow, Mirror Arrow. which would be towards, you'll be running Merciless Lab when you're like 60 something, and you could be in, you can be farming, you know, either labyrinth to get your gems, or you could be farming, you know, late Act 10 for gear until you're pretty much 70 if you want to. So what we want is we want to start pathing down here so we can get this mastery. Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow have 100% increased cooldown recovery rate. This we need to get before we can transition. From here, if you go straight here to get that point, basically you'd be ignoring all the other stuff that you can pick up on the way. It's about 20 points or so. So you need to start thinking, I would say around level 50 to start, you know, going down that way, so you can ensure that by the time you get to level 70, you're ready to go to maps and you want to potentially swap over to the build. You need to make sure that you've got this allocated. And after this, you've got heaps of options, you know, more survivability, minion damage here, minion damage here. This is basically minion crit, which probably would be the last point that you'll be picking up. But again, if you're a hardcore, survivability, some minion damage, reservation. You can get the minion the reservation actually quite early, so you can start. I usually always go for reservation as early as possible, so I can start using more auras. There is more survivability here, minion damage, some jewels, but jewels you can start picking up quite late live. Some resistances if you need. Obviously, you'd be respect out of here. We'll be taking Mage Bane, we'll be taking Reflexes. Again, you can be, with minion builds, I think you can be very, very flexible. Depending on what jewels you find or what items you find later on, this could change into many different variations, but this would be basically the blueprint I'll be working off. Now, let me go through skills. So we mentioned that will be leveling its SRS, and then obviously with SRS, the other stuff that you'll be picking up is some auras. You try to get 2 movement skills, ideally Frost Blink, Shield Charge. We wouldn't be able to use the jumping attack because we wouldn't be wielding scepters, because we'll be going for convoking wands, obviously. Pick up some auras, maybe pick up, you know, a curse. So quite flexible. I wouldn't be getting any probably golems or stuff. Definitely no specters and stuff this early, because they'll be dying. But again, try to experiment. You'd have a lot of flexibility with sockets. So maybe pick up obviously some of the, what were they called, the offerings. You can definitely pick up an offering as well. Definitely, I mean, offering could be for sure something you'd pick up. The skills that you sort of would have, like, and by the way, in the skills here, I'm going to be posting that POB down in the description, but there definitely would be some changes that I'll be doing, because for one thing, he's only using Blink Arrow. He's not using Mirror Arrow, which I will try to implement for a couple reasons. So let's see. So first, the Blink Arrow setup. I think the first version would be Blink Arrow with Barding Clones. Then you can get elemental damage with Luck, which is not awakened, fresh meat, and minion damage. Now, crit damage and crit strikes, that would be your end game, but before that you could be using other things. So let's say while you're on a 5-link, instead of critical strikes, you could try other things as well. There is volatility that you can use. I believe I did use also, what was it? Let me see if I'm remembering correctly. Was it cruelty? Or maybe I'm mistaken. Let me see what cruelty was. Cruelty support. More damage with hits. Hits from support. Yeah, I think I was using cruelty for some time. Or you can also potentially use, what was the name of the other one? Because you'd be doing a lot of, you'd be primarily elemental damage focused first, so you could use something for elemental damage. Again, point is, try and experiment. Don't think that this is the BO and one only version. Now then he's got Molten Shell, Automation, Spirit Offering, and Ally Weakness, which is quite a nice setup, I have to say that I like it. He's got Animate Guardian, Ray Spectre, Feeding Frenzy, Meat Shield, Minion Life, and Precision. That's his second 6th link. Now, what I'll turn your attention to, something that I noticed, is that at the moment, it's got 0 unreserved mana pretty much. So, we'll be making some changes with the auras. That's something that if you want to use all the auras that these guys using, obviously we'll need to do some changes, but there is, I believe, late game tools that we could be using, and that would definitely be a character that we can improve on a lot in terms of end game progression. However, if you see here, it's got Divine Blessing, Vow Haste, Desecrate, and Flame Dash. Now Divine Blessing is gone. So we need to figure out a way that for us to use Haste to fit it into the build. Now if you go here, Termination, Grace, Purity of Elements, and Light. And now we can probably take away the Purity of Elements. We would be still res kept, I believe. Yes, we would be res kept. So we will be losing the immune to elemental ailments, but it is what it is. Enlighten, if we get it, it would be quite late game. So we do have some leeway with sockets. So what I was thinking about is, for a second, 6th link. Now Animate Guardian again is something that we'll be using quite late, if at all. So we can swap maybe the Ray Spectres. We can get them in here instead of the Vow Haste and the Divine Blessing. We can get Mirror Arrow with what was the other blessing skill? Guardian Blessing or whatever, which makes it so that when you summon the minion, it will have the ore active. So we get a Ray Spectre. We get the blink, the Mirror Arrow of either Bombarding Clones, or we can use the other one. We can use. Can't remember what the name of the other Transfigured Gem was, but that was, I did use that one for my playthrough, and it felt really good. So you'd get that, you'd get the blessing skill with the vow, and then again you've got some options. You can either get like damaging links, or you can maybe get some utility links, like Mid Shield, like the one that made, what was the, there was a skill gem that made your minions more aggressive. Can't remember what it's called. So maybe you can fit this in, but that should be the general idea behind the build. And then you've got obviously the Sentinel of Radiance and the Elemental Relics, which will add on even more damage, which is the stuff that you get from your Ascendancy. Now, moving on to the items. Now, he's using Devouring Diadem. It will take us some time to farm it, probably a lot. Probably we will get lucky, I don't know. We don't need to use all the auras straight away. Obviously, the full aura setup would be quite nice, but that's something that we can improve on and make happen with our gearing. But in terms of weapons, so, and that's something that I was gonna mention in terms of your loot filter, and I'll be tinkering with that on Twitch while I'm streaming later on tonight, because I want to test out some edits on the filter. I'm using what was the name of the guy? Something with Hobbit, big, small, little fat Hobbit or something. But I'm gonna be doing some changes on his filter just to streamline it for leveling as a necromancer. But I also will be adding on bow bases and quiver bases, because as I was saying that we need to make sure that we've got some stuff allocated on the tree. We also need to make sure that we've got weapon and a quiver ready for when we do the swap, because again, this is the weapons that your clones will be using. So in terms of getting your bows, if you go to PathofExile, we would go to our bow bases, and ideally we care about the added cold damage, fire damage, and lightning damage stats, because we'll be going elemental at first. And what you can see here, these are the different, obviously, tiers. So the higher the tier is, the lower number, the higher the tier is. So we want to see what is the starting level when this particular tier can start dropping. So we could, I suppose, settle for a tier 5 row if you get 2 of those, and then you've got either natural attack speed row, or you've got a suffix slot open to craft it. That would be your, starter weapon. Or if you drop Quill Rain, basically that will be you set for at least until like red maps. So I would start personally picking up bows from like level 43 zones, and let me see what it is for quivers. So for quivers, again, we care about the elemental, the other elemental, 2 attacks. Yeah, so that's 44. So we will start like picking up stuff from like level 42 onwards. There is no point to be picking up any bow bases or quiver bases before, because they just would not be able to roll this type of modifier. So you can see his bow, cold damage, lightning damage, attack speed. Now obviously that's quite a nice bow, but you don't need the minion damage, the minion attack speed, the minion damage, the increased critical strike, that stuff. I mean, you can get just the first 3 lines, and that would be your starter weapon. This is stuff that you can just pick up from the ground. This is, and remember, inside of KALGUUR we have this mechanic where we can be like gambling for items, so even more chances to get good bases. Here's quiver, same thing, and we'll just be stocking that again. Once you find a good bow and a good quiver, obviously in hardcore SSF you can keep picking up more items, because you may die and then you want to have something to fall back on. But if you're playing a softcore, find a good bow, find a good quiver, that's it. You don't need to pick any more, at least for the early leveling. Body armor, obviously he's got the devouring data, but we can use another helmet too. We can get that. Armor, so that's, remember, those are like level 99 level character level 99 items, so we can definitely get something worse. Let me see. I think there was some. That was an earlier version of his build. Let me see if the items are the same. Yeah, so that was the earlier version, and you can see what his items are. So 2. Again, this is pretty good, and he's probably gotten this bow from doing unveiling, because it's got the minimum deal 108% increased damage, which you can get from betrayal only. Nothing too special. Then the body armor, dex, suppress, fire. Obviously we are losing the crafted mod for fizz damage taken as ally, which is too bad, but we can get it as an implicit. Gloves, strength, suppress. Remember that we don't benefit from the added cold damage that's not on the bow or the quiver, so that roll doesn't matter. Some increased armor, some life, some cold res. Again, just 4 stat rare stuff that you can pick up from the ground. You don't even need to craft on boots. Suppress spell damage, intelligence, evasion, 1 resist, movement speed, and crafted life. Probably he's probably gotten this from, actually I don't know if it's from Unveiling or it was just a natural drop. Amulet, 3 relevant skills, and he's gotten this from Unveiling because you can get a non-chanic skills. Rune Loop, Ruby Ring, cold damage to attacks and evasion. Evasion rating is okay. Cold damage, he doesn't benefit from it. Life, the life regen is just not enough. Some chaos and crafted cold and chaos. You see that all his items are pretty. It's not even got. It's just got a heavy belt. But yeah, that's pretty good for a starter. And then Divine Life Flask of Seething, Alchemist Topaz with armor, Sapphire with attack speed, Quicksilver. I mean, I don't know if I'll be having Topaz, Sapphire, and Ruby. I would usually go for like Granite, Jade, and the one that gives you phasing. But you know, different, and then he's obviously got some nice jewels. But that's something that you craft at a much later stage. So yeah, that's pretty much the build. I'll post the POB before. I've not really edited that. I've not put any notes because I thought I'm not going to be using his POB to you know, to pass off as mine, so I'm not going to edit it. I'll just post it as it's straight from POE Ninja. But yeah, just level through the campaign with SRS using mean instability. It's super comfy leveling. Yeah, for a new player, this is very comfy way to go through the campaign reasonably quickly. For maybe other builds that you've tried, just because of the nature of the playstyle, you get other, you know, the minions do the job, and you can get into like really snowball into getting some good damage. So you'll be going through bosses very, very comfortably, and then once you get this notable in the mastery, and you get your bow and your quiver around, and obviously the gems, you can transition to Blink, Arrow, Mirror, and start doing maps. Now, the only other thing that I wanted to touch on would be my tree. And now in SSF, we don't care about getting wealth, at least not at the beginning. At the beginning, you care about a few different factors. So is there any unique that you need that could be done through a specific mechanic? So in my opinion, in my case, I need the Devouring Diadem and I need Darkness and Throne. So the Devouring Diadem you get through running Betrayal and fighting Katarina. Now I know that it's been nerfed in terms of drop chance, but we're still gonna try and do it. And Betrayal is really good early on for just, first of all, getting good gear, getting unveils. Because sometimes when you're getting the unveils, you get generally good items that gets a good unveil that you can use, and that's you maybe, and you can even craft on top of it. So that's a good way to get early items. Also, the betrayal mechanic is quite nice for SSF in terms that gives you a lot of different mechanics. I'm not gonna go through all of them because there's so many different like members that give you different mechanics depending on where you have parked them for that specific encounter. So what I would say is play about with it and you can get some good stuff. So this would be one of the mechanics, and the other one that we need for the Darkness Throne would be Abyss. So we will spec into that as well. And we also want to spec into Essence and to map, you know, not map management, but we want to be sustaining maps. So again, look here, that's like, I would say, just after you've broken to red maps. So I think it's a pretty realistic starting tree. The way that I'm gonna go about it is, first of all, I'll go through here for some betrayal chance. Basically, you get chance for your maps to contain June. Before you used to get chance to accumulate missions. Now it's been changed, but it's still useful because at the end of the day, you just get the missions in the map. Go through the small nodes that give you 2% chance for one monster in each map to drop an additional connected map. So we'd go here, and I'm gonna take all those nodes. So I'll go through here. Now you've got an option. You can either continue getting map sustain nodes if you feel that you're not getting enough maps, or what I usually do is I'm gonna go through the scouting reports node for the commissioned officer, which gives you, your maps have 6% chance to grant an additional Kirak mission on completion, which I think is useful for the stage where you're completing your atlas the first time in SSF. After this, I'm gonna finish getting my map nodes. So this cluster here, this cluster here. I'm gonna go down here, get my betrayal stuff. And after this, I'm gonna start going for Abyss. So I'm gonna get Underground Kingdom. So your maps have got 2% chance to contain an Abyss per 2% increased pack size, and some flat percent chance to contain an Abyss. You go through here and get Awakened Depths, which gives you Abyss in your maps have 100% increased chance to lead to an Abyssal Depth. I'm gonna disregard these nodes. Now this gives you, again, Abyss in your maps that do not lead to an Abyssal Depth have 10% increased chance to lead to an Stygian Spire. We don't really care about the Stygian Spire, we just want a chance to get to Abyssal Depth. So I'm gonna leave the other nodes. I'm gonna go for Corrupted Gaze, which gives you some chance to get, if you get Spires instead of Depths, you get more chance to get Duos and potentially Corrupted Duos. After this, what I'll probably do is, depending on how strong the character is, I'll either go for getting more betrayal stuff. So Test of Loyalty. This is on the way we get some more chance for the maps to have tune. But this one, Immortal Syndicate members executing your maps have 100% chance to gain an additional rank. We'll go Intelligence Gathering as well. Completing your maps grants 10 intelligence for a random Immortal Syndicate safe house. Now this would help us speed up farming Catharinas to get our helm. And after this, I'm gonna get the just all the essence stuff. So this, and this. Oh yeah, and this as well. Now, after this point, the tree is super fluid. At some point, when you think you don't need map sustain stuff, you can spec out of this. You can do another pathing. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that after the essences, I'm gonna get some expedition. And I think these mechanics that you are getting, the dunes, the expeditions, the abysses, and the essences, I think it's quite synergistic for just like a general mapping character, because you'll be running a lot of maps. Those mechanics don't slow you too much. Yeah, maybe for betrayal, yeah, you have to stop a little bit, you have to think about the option, but it's not too bad. So at some point, when you don't need to gear, when you don't need any specific rewards from betrayal, when you've gotten your helmet, hopefully, you can spec out of it. Although I think betrayal for SSF is good throughout the league, to be honest. But again, I'll need to see if they haven't rebalanced some things. You can decide that you want to, fully spec into some of the mechanics if you particularly enjoy them. You can go through here to get some more. Oh, actually, that's interesting. They never mentioned, or at least I missed it. What's happening with this wheel? Because Oh, if this view keeps the quantity, because they've only taken it away from players, haven't they? That should be super OP, because that would be one of the few ways that you can get quantity. But yeah, that's the point. At some point, if you decide that you don't need more essences, or you don't need more expedition, or you don't need more abyss, just spec out and pick up something else. But yeah, when I decide, that would be the bare bones tree for just that. I'll probably keep until I complete the atlas, at least until then, at least until I want to start bossing, at which point we can spec into altars, we can spec into other mechanics. Pretty much the world is our oyster. But again, I'll post that tree together with the POB. And I think that's pretty much it. If there's anything relevant that, any new teasers or anything of the sort that drops over the next few days, I'll probably make a quick impromptu video if anything catches my fans. But if not, I'll just be over on Twitch doing some practice runs, playing about with the filter. So if you do want to see that, you know, the leveling process, if you want to ask any questions about the build, yeah, stop by, listen to some cool tunes, chat away, and I'll see you for sure at least start, when I'm going to be doing a pretty long first day progression stream. But yeah, thanks very much for stopping by, and I will catch you later on Exile. Take it easy, bye.